Hello everyone! So in this video I will walk you through a few steps you can take to effectively learn any fugue on the piano. To make it as clear and understandable as possible, I will first draw examples on my chalkboard and then I will demonstrate at the piano right after. So if this is something you are interested in, then please keep watching. So what you want to do first is identify each voice on its own and making sure you know which voice is which. So in this case we have 4 voices, and I found that using different colors for each voice really helps. I used red for the top voice, soprano, then I used green for alto, orange for tenor, and blue for bass. So it's really clear, I know exactly who is who. So once you identified each voice, then play one by one on its own. And I would always start with the lowest one, with the bass. So you just play the bass line alone. And then you can even double it with the other hand by playing exactly the same notes, basically playing parallel. Just to emphasize the notes even more and get used more to what they sound like. And this is how it would sound on the piano. Once you've done this, the next step would be to put 2 voices together. So again, we're starting at the bottom and build up from there. So we will play the bass and the tenor together, those 2. And since we're focusing on the bass first, I would recommend that you play the bass louder than the tenor, so you force your ear to follow the bass voice. So once you play the bass and the tenor together, then you're doing the same with the other ones. So bass and alto, and then bass and soprano together. And this is how it would sound. Put 3 voices together at the same time, still focusing on the bass though. So the bass is the voice that you're going to play the loudest. You're going to play the bass, the tenor and the alto, and leave out the soprano. And then you're going to play the bass, the alto and the soprano, and leave out the tenor. Once you've done that, the last step will be to play all of the voices together, but you still play the voice louder. So basically, this is fortissimo and this is pianissimo. All of them. So still, even though you're playing the four voices together, your ear still follows the bass. So by now, you should be really familiar with the bass because you've forced your ear to listen to it so many times that now you could actually almost sing it by memory on its own. You're going to then do the same thing with the tenor. So first by groups of two, but this time playing the tenor loud and the other voices soft. Just like what we did when we did it with the bass. And then you're going to do it in groups of three. So tenor, bass and alto, but no soprano. Tenor, bass and soprano, but no alto. So you always have to find all of the possible combinations. There are not that many. I would actually write them down on your score or on a little piece of paper next to your score so you just keep track. You do the same thing with each voice, so gradually moving up. So you get to know each voice on its own really, really well. What I like to do as well, and this is a little bit of a hardcore thing to do, so you can leave that out, but I find it very helpful, is that you play three voices at the piano and you sing the remaining one. So that's kind of difficult because obviously you're going to sing something that you're not going to play, and you do this with each voice. And so the last step is to then play all of the voices together. But this time you're going to not emphasize only one voice, but each voice that comes in, that makes an entrance, the one that you actually want to hear. Bass. Tenor. Alto. If you can follow all of the four voices simultaneously while you're playing, so the listener will be able to as well, and that's when it sounds so exciting because you start to see all these different layers, you start to hear all these different voices. Basically what you're doing is you're dividing your brain in four different parts. And so it's a really good exercise also for your concentration, to develop your polyphonic understanding. Of course, this kind of practice requires to be really slow, so you give your brain a chance to follow everything. There are so many things that need to be thought of. If you know any other ways, then please share it with me and comment below. And